Yo, what is going on, YouTube? We are back today. We have Anchor MMA's UFC 322 picks. Let's get started. Alright, fair warning, I am not UFC hardcore. I know a lot about UFC, but I go off vibes a lot of the time, and I watch a lot of UFC. I watch almost every event, almost every contender series, but I won't lie, I definitely do miss some, and I'm not an absolute hardcore. But with that said, let's get started with Malcolm Wellmaker versus Cody Hedon. I gotta go with the hot hand. Malcolm Wellmaker by KO. Cody Hedon, I think he'll show that Wellmaker is maybe a little overhyped and maybe needs to work on his ground game, or at least test his ground game. But I think Wellmaker will still catch him, maybe second round, maybe late first round. But I think Cody Hedon will show a little bit of flaws in Wellmaker's game. Up next, women's MMA is not my forte. I will not lie. And I know Tracy Cortez is the big name, but I'm going Blanchfield here by split decision because I think at least one judge will give it to Tracy Cortez because they will try and favor her because the UFC so badly wants Tracy Cortez up in their division and potentially the champ one day. But I got Blanchfield by split decision. I think it should be unanimous decision. I think she'll beat her pretty convincingly, but I don't know. Just the UFC does some funny stuff sometimes. Up next, Roman Kopylov versus RoboCop. I'm going to go with RoboCop by TKO on this one. I think he's really going to push forward and put a lot of pressure on Roman Kopylov. And I think Kopylov will panic a little bit and RoboCop will catch him. But I don't think he'll put him out cold instantly. I think it'll definitely be a TKO. RoboCop has that power. Yes, Kopylov is pretty quick, but from what I've seen, he panics a good bit and doesn't really do well when people are really on the attack after him. Up next, we got Bo Nickel versus Rodolfo Vieira. I'm playing. But realistically, I got Bo Nickel by decision. Bo Nickel cannot afford to lose this fight. He knows it. We know it. He's on, the verge. If he loses this fight, no one will be on his side anymore. And I don't know why the UFC would hold, I don't know why they would hype this guy up anymore. I would personally think about cutting him if he loses this fight. But I think he knows that he needs to win this fight to stay in the UFC and keep a good name for himself. Because the RDR loss, yes, it was kind of brutal, but he did show a little flash. And that's not a terrible loss looking back on it now. Obviously, RDR just got completely styled on by Brendan Allen and literally had to quit on his stool, but I think Bo Nickel will take this one by decision. Up next, fan favorite Beneil Dariush versus BSD. Unfortunately, I got BSD by KO. It's just the way it's got to be. I love Dariush, but BSD looks so good his last time out versus Rufi. I don't see a world where Dariush realistically wins this, and I think if it ends in a KO or maybe he just loses, I think he'll potentially call it a career, unfortunately. But next up, we got Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates. I think there's going to be a brutal finish in this fight, but not for Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards is going to sleep. Prates is going to brutally KO him. Brutally. I truly think that Leon Edwards is on a steep decline. In his past 2 fights, he's gotten outboxed and out-wrestled by Bilal Muhammad and Sean Brady, who are better on the ground than they should be on the feet. But Leon Edwards supposedly is really good on the feet, and he's looked horrible his last 2 fights. And Carlos Prates, as we've seen before, has absolutely brutal knockout power. Like, I think he'll do something and absolutely put Leon Edwards lights out. This is how we will be feeling after Prates absolutely slimes out Leon Edwards. But next fight, Sean Brady versus Michael Morales. You know, this might come to a surprise to some people, but I got Brady by unanimous decision. I don't think it'll be up in the air on whether Morales won or not. Sean Brady's so good all around, and he's so fun to watch. I think he will take this home and end the hype train of Michael Morales. Michael Morales is good, and I think he could put Brady's lights out at any second, but I don't think he will. Brady's really aggressive off the jump, so maybe if he catches him at the beginning of the round, he can. But I think Brady will get the fight to the ground a decent bit. He averages almost 4 takedowns per fight, and he's fought wrestlers in the past, so I think he'll get a good amount of takedowns on Michael Morales and win a unanimous decision. Alright, like I said, not my forte with women's MMA, but this is a huge fight with Shevchenko and Zhang Weili. I got Shevchenko by unanimous decision. You know, I think they're both so skilled, and honestly, this one I'm kind of going off vibes a little bit. This could go either way, but I think Shevchenko's a little bit better of a fighter. She's proved a little bit more to me, and she's given me more of a reason to pick her than her Chinese opponent, Zhang Weili. But I do think there's a chance that it could be a robbery because they're going to try and get themselves a Chinese champion to get more people to watch it, because you know that'll be a big deal. But I got Shevchenko by unanimous decision. The fight we've all been waiting for. Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev. If you've watched my channel before, you know who I'm picking. Islam Makhachev by unanimous decision. I think he'll win either 49-46 or 48-47, but I don't think it will really be a question that Islam wins. Islam, I think, is the most skilled fighter on the planet. He's so good all around, and he's truly incredible to watch. You know, I'm not counting out JDM. JDM is super dangerous and kind of a stylistic nightmare for Islam, but I think Islam is so skilled, and he's the best fighter in the world, and so I think he defeats JDM by unanimous decision. But I think Islam has a better chance of finishing JDM than JDM does beating Islam. Hot take there. Alright. We got Anchor MMA Parlays. We are not sponsored yet, though. So, I got 2 different parlays for you guys. One of them is just the fighters winning alone, and the other is takedown, fight time, total rounds, stuff like that. So the first leg of the parlay is Islam versus JDM over 1.5 rounds. I think this is a lock. I looked at this and I could not believe that this was really the line, was 1.5 rounds. I would be shocked if it didn't go over 1.5 rounds. The other one, Blanchfield versus Cortez over 2.5 rounds. I'm not going to lie. Don't get mad at me, but I think you could do this for a lot of women's MMA fights and just do over, like, going the distance. And I think those are almost always locks. Maybe not the main event of 322 or the co-main event of 322, but this one I definitely am pretty confident it'll go the distance. Like I said earlier, Sean Brady over 2.5 takedowns. He averages almost 4, and I think going against a striker, he'll definitely shoot for a lot of them. So I think 2.5 takedowns is honestly a lock on the over. I think he'll probably get closer to 5 or 6 or something around there. But I think that's a lock. And Protest versus Edwards, less than 14.75 minutes of fight time. So basically, this can't go the distance. If it goes the distance, it won't hit. But I do not think this fight will go the distance no matter what. They're two big hitters, knockout artists. I both think they can win by finish, but I definitely think Protest will finish Edwards in a 3-round fight. It's $100 to get $450, so that's pretty good payout there. I mean, it's definitely a bit conservative, but I think all 4 of those are absolute locks. The other parlay, Sean Brady, BSD, RoboCop, and Wellmaker are all locks to me on good odds, and it's $100 to get $644, going off of the recent odds that I've seen. But I think this parlay is, I think it's more risky than the first parlay, but if you want a bigger risk and a bigger payout, definitely go with this parlay. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys. Tell me if you disagree with any of my picks, if my parlays are terrible and they're not going to hit. If you agree with anything, if you just want to have a conversation with me, just comment down below. Like the video, subscribe. We'll be posting content almost every day. So, yeah. Thanks for checking it out, guys, and have a good day.